guys, and welcome back to my channel, All That Jazz. So I am finally back with my Stranger Things 5 episode 6 rewrite. I know I said hopefully I would get these out before From started. However, life is happening. This is more time consuming than making a quick voiceover video. It takes a lot more to do this. So okay, here it is. And again, with this one, I most definitely made some dialogue changes, but I also incorporated a few scenes, so the added characters that I incorporated back into my rewrite can have things to do, dialogue, and such. So if you are here for the first time, to give you a little background on what's done at this point. So Ted is dead, Joyce is dead, Brenner is alive, Sam Owens and Sheriff Powell are in my rewrite as well. Nancy and Jonathan have broken up off screen, so they were never together in my rewrite in this. That's all I can think about in this exact moment. Okay, so let's get into it. Episode 6, Escape from Camazotz. So this episode will begin the exact same with Dustin on the walkie-talkie, panicking, trying to reach Nancy and or Jonathan to let them know to not do anything to the exotic matter. At this point, it's too late. Nancy has already shot off the gun and the exotic matter begins to light up and it turns red. The exotic matter activates, sending Nancy and Jonathan flying feet away from it. After this, we see it erupt through the entire upside down, going through the wall. We are able to see Hopper, 11, and Callie's point of view from them being inside the upside down, watching this activate and erupt past this giant wall surrounding the upside down. The screen cuts to black and cuts to the following scene, which is Murray and Erica knocking on Mr. Clark's door at 5 a.m. in the morning to get him to help them make another telemetry tracker. The following scene is back to Hawkins' lab inside the upside down with both Dustin and Steve, and Dustin is informing Steve that it is not a shield generator and it's not dark magic or something that Vecna created. It is in fact science made and it is exotic matter, which confirms that that wall is being held together by the shields or the exotic matter that Nancy just shot. Nancy and Jonathan are still passed out and are now seeping through the roof as Steve is questioning Dustin, asking him what's outside of the wall, and that is when Dustin confirms it's nothing but death. We go back to inside the upside down, seeing Hopper, 11, and Callie's point of view and seeing Steve's car being sucked through the wall, as well as all the other debris and everything else inside the upside down going through this hole that Steve's car just made into the wall. At this point, it's chaos everywhere, it's debris. They're all trying to run and take cover. And as 11 is having this badass moment, making a path to get her, Hopper, and Callie to this gate, Dustin is realizing that everything that they thought they knew about the upside down is wrong, because the upside down is actually a bridge between Hawkins and the abyss. And then we have that badass shot of the actual wormhole from the outside as Steve Carr blasts out into oblivion. Following that image of the wormhole, we cut to the opening credits, and after the opening credits is where my rewrite begins.
Sheriff Powell and Sam Owens are making their way through the dark tunnels under Hawkins. Sheriff Powell, flashlight beam cutting through the dark.
So, am I right to assume that Russian girl all those years ago was real, even though Hop told us to forget about her and said she wasn't?
Dr. Owens, wiping his glasses, voice steady but tired.
He was right to lie to you, Calvin. In my line of work, the truth is usually a death sentence, but we're past that now. She's not Russian. Her name is Jane, but to the military, she's just Subject 11.
Sheriff Powell stops walking, turns toward Owens.
11? How does a little girl end up in something like this?
Do you remember Hawkins' lab? Before Will Byers went missing? Before any of this started? Jane was in that lab for years. She escaped the same night Will disappeared. She opened a door, a gate rather, and something we are still trying to understand came back through it. She's the only reason any of us are still standing.
Powell, quietly processing.
And this thing that came through it, it's doing all of this in Hawkins now?
Dr. Owens nodding.
Yes, and now that you are a willing participant in wanting to save this town, I think you're ready to know everything. When Jane opened this gate the night the Byers boy was kidnapped, well, he was taken by a creature, a monster we call a Demogorgon. It took him to a place we call the Upside Down, another dimension that mirrors Hawkins. This dimension is only accessible by gates, or an opening from our world to that one.
Sheriff Powell, a long pause as the pieces finally connect.
And these monsters, they killed all those soldiers in the Max Z compound? Barbara, how do they know when to come?
They don't just know, Calvin. They're commanded. Everything in that world, the Demogorgons, the vines, the particles in the air, is part of a hive mind. And at the center of it is an entity we call the Mind Flayer, but the face behind it, that's someone you might actually remember.
Powell, confused.
Someone I remember? Who?
Henry Creel.
Powell stops dead in his tracks, the light from his flashlight wobbling.
Henry Creel? No, that's impossible. Victor Creel killed his family in '59. Everyone in Hawkins knows that story. The kid died too.
That's the story Brenner sold the world. But Henry didn't die. He was the first, subject number 1. Brenner took him, studied him, and tried to recreate his power in others, including Jane. But Henry was different. He was corrupted long before he ever set foot in that lab by this entity.
You're saying the Creel kid is the one behind all this? The one turning our town into a graveyard?
He's the general. Or maybe he's just the most human piece of a much larger machine. He's been out there for years, building an army in the dark. Jane opened a gate inside the lab years before the kidnapping and sent him to this dimension.
So why take Will? Why not the girl?
He tried to get her on his side and tricked her into believing he was good. That's when she sent him to this other dimension. Jane has the power, but Will has the connection. He was the first to survive that dimension, the Upside Down. It left something inside him. He can feel them. He can see what they see. If Jane is our shield, Will might be the only key we have to finding where Henry is hiding before he finishes whatever he is planning for our world.
Powell, taking a deep breath, looking down the dark tunnel.
So all of this time, all of this happening in Hawkins started with Will Byers and the Creel boy?
Exactly. And right now, he is winning. We need to move.
We eventually see them make it to the ladder, leasing them out of the tunnel to the woods. As they walk along the path out of the woods, they both see the squawk.
The following scene, we see the door in the middle of the field. All of a sudden, Max and Holly come running out of it, trying to get to safety away from Henry. They make it to the cave and they are able to get inside. Eventually, Henry does make it to the cave, where he tries to coerce Holly into leaving the cave to come back with him by threatening her and telling her he will have no choice but to hurt and or kill Max if she doesn't come with him so she can rejoin the other children. Max taunts Henry a bit, telling him to come do it, come inside the cave, but he can't because he's scared of the cave. He lets her know things have changed and there are other ways to get to her. Before he leaves, he lets Holly know Max's life is pretty much in her hands. We go back to the squawk, and instead of Joyce being the one sitting over Will and watching him, we see Mike come to the door and do a quick glance at him, and Will is still inside of Vecna's mindscape. At this time, Lucas is asking Mike and Robin what's going on because we saw the particles leave him, so he doesn't understand why he's still stuck in the mindscape. At this point, Robin makes the connection as to why Max really wasn't in a coma. She's really been stuck inside of Henry's mindscape as long as Holly and the other kids. Mike has Robin and Lucas go get to the hospital so they can go and be by Max's side in case she is able to make this great escape with Holly, and he will stay there at the squawk with Will. Now, instead of ending this scene here, I am going to extend it some more.
Outside the squawk. The morning sun is high, but the light is sickly, filtered through a strange orange-tinted haze that has begun to settle over Hawkins. Lucas and Robin scramble into the car, their faces pale in the harsh light. The engine roars, and they peel out of the gravel lot, racing toward the hospital. Mike stands on the concrete steps, squinting against the glare, his chest heaving as he watches them go. Mike, whispering desperately,
"Please, we need something to go right."
He turns to head back inside to Will, but the sound of labored breathing and boots dragging on pavement stops him. Mike spins around, shielding his eyes from the sun. Two figures are emerging from the dense tree line at the edge of the property, the secret exit from the tunnels. Mike, wary, backing toward the door, shouting,
"Who's there? Stop right there."
The figures keep walking closer. In the bright light, Mike finally sees them. Dr. Sam Owens, looking happy to see sunshine for the first time in a long time, and Sheriff Powell, who is surveying the area. Powell's uniform is barely recognizable, stained with the filth of the tunnels, but his expression is one of grim relief as he spots Mike. Mike, breath catching, eyes widening in total disbelief. "Holy shit!" Owens, gasping, his voice thin and dry.
Mike, thank God. Is he here? Is Will inside?
The camera zooms in on Mike's stunned face, then fast cuts to the dark vine-choked library inside of Vecna's mindscape.
So the following scene would be the same scene with Will inside of Vecna's mindscape, hooked up to all the vines inside of the library. However, what I absolutely hated about this dialogue is Vecna using Will as a spy to kill Max or to find where Max was inside of Hawkins. That never made sense to me because Vecna always showed that he could look into the mind of absolutely anybody at any time. So why in the frick did he need to use Will as a spy for that particular thing? Like that just never made any sense to me. Like there were other ways and other things he could have had Will be a spy for. So that's why I am changing the dialogue here between Vecna and Will.
Will gasps as the vines tighten around his throat and limbs, slithering sounds of the hive mind moving in the shadows. Henry.
"Do you remember this place, William?"
Will, straining and scared.
No.
Does it bring back memories?
Max, Holly, they got away, didn't they? Did the legs slow you down?
Vecna, chuckling darkly.
You think you're clever, don't you? But remember, I am the one who invited you in. You were my vessel, my spy, my builder.
Builder?
How do you think the tunnels came to be, William? You built them each and every night you slept. There is much power within you, but make no mistake, boy. They are my powers, and they are stronger than ever before. Much stronger.
Pulsating sound as the vines tighten around his neck, feeding off Will's fear.
Now, at last, it is time. Time for my vessels to lead us to a new world, a better world. Join me, William. Together we will do such beautiful things.
I will never join you. Everything that ever happened to me, my family, my friends, happened because of you. I will never stand by your side.
Then I will take everything else from you. Who should be next? Mike?
He leans in, his voice a whisper.
I see everything, William. I know your deepest, darkest secrets. Your fears, your desires.
Stay away from him.
How about the fox herself, Max?
Will, tears in his eyes, but voice firm.
Max got away.
There are ways to smoke a fox from its den, William. Now watch closely. Watch what your friendship costs. You are going to watch me torture everyone you love.
Vecna places his hand over Will's face and begins to show him. Will groaning and screaming as Vecna forces his mind open. Through the hive mind, Will sees the demodogs, not heading for the cave, but sprinting toward the hospital.
And I also want to mention, I specifically added dialogue between Vecna and Will, and Vecna insinuating that he knows Will's deepest, darkest secrets, especially when it comes to Mike. Because, I don't know, I just felt that there should have been some kind of dialogue there or something being insinuated, especially if the whole point of Will coming out was because of Vecna knowing his secrets and wanting to have everything out in the open and on the table. So that's why I added that little piece of him insinuating about Mike in there. The following scene is Max and Holly back inside the cave. Holly is anxious and questioning what did Henry mean by things have changed now and that he has other methods or ways to get to Max. Holly asks Max why she thinks he is scared to come inside the cave. Max theorizes that whatever memory Henry doesn't want to face is why he won't come inside the cave. Eventually, this conversation leads to Holly having this idea that this memory will lead them to a secret passageway in order for them to escape, prompting Max to follow her outside the cave to look for this secret passage. After this, I am adding another scene at the squad between Mike, Dr. Owens, and Sheriff Powell.
The morning light is stagnant. Will is motionless on the cot, his breathing shallow. Mike is hovering over him, adjusting a cold compress on Will's forehead. Owens and Powell are slumped in chairs nearby, their clothes still caked in tunnel grime. Mike, without looking up.
We had a theory after last night, after Will actually managed to kill those demogorgons using the connection. We thought he could do more. We thought if he went back in, he could fight Vecna from the inside, use the tether against him.
Sam, leaning forward, his eyes locking onto Will.
So he actually did it? He successfully siphoned power from the hive?
He lets out a long, shaky breath.
I always hoped this day would come.
Mike, spinning around, eyes narrowing.
You hoped? How did you even know this was a possibility?
It wasn't my theory, it was Brenner's.
Brenner?
Yes, when I took over the lab to clean up Barbara's death, Will's kidnapping, I found things. Private files, specifically a secret file Brenner had started on Will. He realized, long before anyone else, that Will wasn't just in the Upside Down, he was part of it. He wanted to see how a normal boy had been forged by the atmosphere itself and still somehow survive it. He felt there was a possibility Will's kidnapping was more than by chance, but someone chosen.
Chosen for what?
Well, that's what he planned to find out. Brenner hoped giving Hawkins a body in the quarry would be enough for Joyce and you guys to give up on finding Will. He was actively sending men into the Upside Down to find Will. He wanted to run tests on his blood, hoping this would render a new subject who could deepen his program.
Powell, suddenly sitting up, his voice low.
It's all starting to connect.
He looks at Owens.
I always wondered, after Will was found alive, why that body from the quarry just went away. No record of it at the station, no autopsy report from the county coroner, no name for the child we supposedly buried.
Once Brenner discovered Joyce knew that wasn't Will's body and that she wasn't going to stop looking for him, they had to make it go away so no one else could look into it. It wasn't until Will was under my care at the lab that I realized Brenner's instinct about Will wasn't necessarily wrong, especially after Vecna was able to use him as a spy. In fact, we planned to bring Will with 11 to Nina Project to see if the time had come for that connection to be used. We needed them together, the born power and the forged connection. But the military moved too fast. Elle was arrested, and I lost my window to get to Will.
Mike is shook by this revelation. Before he could respond, a heavy crunch of gravel sounds from the lot. Mike tenses, looking toward the window.
Someone's here.
He peers out, his eyes widening.
Wait, no way.
Mike bolts for the door. He hits the gravel at a sprint just as Hopper, 11, and Callie climb out of the car. He catches Elle in a crushing embrace, burying his face in her neck. Powell and Sam follow him out, shielding their eyes. Powell, stopping dead, staring at Hopper as if he's seen a ghost.
Jim,
Hopper, looking like he's crawled out of a trench, walks towards Powell and Sam in disbelief and pulls Powell into a rough, bone-crushing hug.
It's good to see you, Calvin, or should I say Sheriff?
Powell, voice cracking, shocked to see his friend again.
it's been hard without you here, Hop.
Sam, walking towards them after embracing 11.
It's good to see you, Jim.
Hopper wipes a streak of ash from his forehead. His relief fades instantly as he looks at the group, then back toward the station door.
Where's Joyce? Where is the rest of the group?
The silence that follows is immediate. Mike pulls away from 11, unable to look Hopper in the eye. Powell's face goes stone cold. The scene ends on the crushing weight of the unspoken truth.
And following this, I am adding another scene.
Sullivan makes it to the military's makeshift lab, deep within the Upside Down. Ash falls like snow against the reinforced glass windows. Dr. Brenner is sitting at a small desk, calmly sketching in the dust on the surface. Colonel Sullivan enters, his tactical gear covered in the dark grime of the dimension, looking like a man who has run out of options. Brenner, without looking up.
I knew it would only be a matter of time before I saw you, Colonel. Or should I say, before you realized that Dr. K's ambition is far greater than her intellect.
Sullivan, understanding in that moment that Brenner has been playing Dr. K.
Dr. K is losing control. She's obsessed. She spent months unsuccessfully trying to replicate your work with Subject 8 samples. And all she has to show for it is a graveyard of dead pregnant women and a mountain of redacted files. Even after the men we just lost to those monsters, her sole focus is finding the girl. Why?
Because she's a technician, Colonel. She thinks she can force a miracle with a syringe. She's been using Callie's blood, hoping for a spark. But Callie was a graft. Her blood is different. It doesn't always take. There's a complexity to the blood that even I couldn't fully crack through a needle.
Then why is she so convinced 11 is the answer?
Because 11's blood is a perfect match to Henry Creel's. It wasn't a lab accident. She was my last hope, my last successful subject. I met a young Henry after he came in contact with a very powerful entity back in the 50s. Terry Ives didn't just have Henry's blood. She was a willing participant in a biological design. I used Henry's own material for the insemination. 11 is his blood, his bone, his DNA tied directly to the source. You can't replicate 30 years of evolution without knowing who the best source is.
Sullivan, disgusted.
You're a sick man, Brenner. You used that woman to birth a monster's child?
I birthed a solution, Colonel, and right now, she is the only thing standing between you and that monster, but she isn't enough anymore. Not since the Byers boy was taken after 11 opened the gate in '83.
Will Byers? What does he have to do with your design? How can he help?
Will is the piece I never expected. He wasn't born with the blood, but he was forged by it in 1983. He survived the hive longer than any human should. If Henry is the architect, then Will is the master key. He has a connection to this entity, this mind flayer, that even I don't fully understand. But if he shares that connection, he can use it to fight back. If you want to beat what's coming, you don't just need the girl. You need the boy, and you need to bring me with you.
Why would I take you anywhere but a firing squad?
Who do you think helped the girl get her powers back? When you found us at Project Nina, it was me who knew how to get the best out of her, so that when this day came, she'd be ready to fight back.
Sullivan, thinking over Brenner's request. checking the corridor.
Fine. You stay by my side and you do what I say when I say it. Kay has new men covering all the main entry points. If we're caught, she won't bother with a court-martial. She is unhinged enough to kill us both.
Then we'd better watch each other's backs, Colonel.
The two make their way down the hall to an emergency exit. Sullivan uses his swipe card one last time to get them out of the lab and into the Upside Down. Sullivan sees an empty convoy truck nearby and motions Brenner to go toward it. Sullivan surveys the area as they reach the truck. Before they can drive off, 3 demo dogs run right past them. Sullivan, with rage in his eyes, decides in that moment to follow them.
Back at the Hawkins lab inside the Upside Down, Steve and Dustin are looking through the journal and they are trying to figure out why the wall didn't collapse after Nancy shot it, confirming she didn't completely destroy it, she just pissed it off. Steve tries to find a signal so he can find Nancy and Jonathan. Dustin is trying to slow Steve down and get him to relax and stop due to not knowing how unsteady the building could be or the environment could be after Nancy shot the exotic matter. They eventually see the red exotic matter above them. Jonathan and Nancy are waking up after falling through, seeping through the roof. They are now in a room that is leaking all the melted substances all around them. They try to find an escape, but when they run to the door and pull the knob, it melts in between their fingers. Now, following this scene, we go back to the squawk. In the original episode, 11 is inside the sound booth. Hopper is downstairs and he is like patching himself up. So I am adjusting this scene and dialogue to again incorporate Joyce's death. And at this point, Hopper would know that Joyce is gone, and this would be the aftermath or how he's feeling after finding out the news.
11 is inside the sound booth with her eyes covered, trying to find Will. The basement is dim. Hopper is sitting on a crate, his head in his hands. The air is cool and smells of mildew and old paper. Upstairs, he can hear the faint, low thrum of 11's concentration as she's looking for Will. Mike and Callie watch in silence. The stairs creak. Dr. Owens and Sheriff Powell descend slowly. Powell finds a dusty folding chair and pulls it up near Hopper. Owens leans against a concrete pillar, watching him. Hopper, voice muffled by his hands.
She told me, back at the cabin. I didn't want to accept that all of this is our fault.
Powell, quietly.
What are you talking about, Hop?
Hopper, looking up, my eyes bloodshot.
Let's just say November 3rd has a lot of history in this town.
Both Powell and Sam exchange looks of confusion.
We knew all this time who Henry Creel was and that he was alive and taken by Brenner. We caught his men loading Henry in an unmarked ambulance after the night we thought his father killed his mother and sister. Brenner threatened us and our families to stay silent, so we did.
Powell.
You were kids, Jim. You had no idea what would come of it.
We weren't too young to see, Calvin. We stood right there. We saw Brenner's men put Henry Creel into that unmarked ambulance. We locked eyes as he was taken away and we did nothing. Joyce was right. She was always right. Everything that happened to Will. All of it. It's just a debt we're paying for turning a blind eye 30 years ago.
What were you supposed to do against men with badges and guns from a lab that none of us knew what was going on inside of?
We could have told the truth, reported what we saw. Instead, we blamed the wrong man and let him spend the last 30 years being blamed for his son's crimes.
Owens, his voice steady, professional, yet soft.
And if you had?
Hopper, turning his glare to Owens.
What?
If you'd stopped them. If Henry Creel had never been taken, there would be no 11, Jim. No gate would have opened, sure, but Brenner wouldn't have had access to Henry's blood. 11 wouldn't be upstairs right now, fighting to find Will. You'd have no daughter. You'd never had a second chance at being a father.
Powell, nodding.
He's right, Hop. I watched you for years. You were a ghost after Sarah, showing up late, drinking your breakfast. Then Will went missing. And suddenly, you were a sheriff again. You were a man to look up to again. Finding that kid, it gave you Joyce back. It gave you a reason to wake up.
It's a terrible arithmetic, Jim. Thousands of lives lost, a town in ruins. But who's to say your lives would be better in a world where none of this happened? Any of our lives? You and Joyce got to experience a love forged in this fire. We can't change what's happened. We can only finish what started with what and who we have left.
A heavy silence settles over the basement. Above them, the floorboards creak as Mike and Callie pace outside the sound booth. Hopper, voice cracking.
Joyce should be here. She deserves so much more.
Then let's fight this fight. For Joyce, for her boys, for Jane.
The conversation is interrupted with Mike coming down the stairs.
Nancy, she didn't leave a note or anything at the church?
Hopper?
No, nothing. Which means they're either a bunch of inconsiderate pricks or they got captured by the military. To put your mind at ease, I am heavily leaning on the inconsiderate prick theory.
Wait, and that flesh wall you found? You don't think...
They got sucked into the giant vacuum cleaner? No, I don't. But I don't really know, Mike. I'm as confused as you. This whole thing, Max, Holly, this wall, it's all got to connect somehow. But I can't figure out how. It's like there's a missing piece of the puzzle. A big piece.
The pieces are in Vecna's mind, and now we finally have a way to get in.
Callie walks downstairs.
Except Jane hasn't found anything.
Oh boy, here comes Pollyanna to brighten everybody's day.
She's struggling up there.
Oh yeah? Maybe you should give her some time.
She's getting weaker, not stronger.
So you are the expert on Elle, huh? You've known her for what, a day and a half?
Longer than you, actually. We were raised together, and her name is Jane.
Jane Hopper.
I'm just here to help.
You're just here to help. Well, I'm sorry I'm all out of gratitude. I thought you said this fight was pointless.
You said this whole thing was pointless?
I never said that.
Really? It sure as shit sounded to me like you did. I leave you alone for 2 seconds with Elle, and you worm your way into her head. She's probably having trouble finding Will because you've thrown her off track.
She was off track when I met her because of you, because of your lies.
Everything I have done
is to protect her. Keep telling yourself that, but if you really want to protect her, she needs to know the truth, and she needs to be ready to deal with what's waiting for her on the other side of this. Killing Henry won't end this.
What does that mean?
It means nothing. She's a child. She has no idea what she's talking about. She's talking a bunch of nonsense.
I think you know I'm not. But just as you lie to Jane, you also lie to yourself. You ask why I'm still here. I'm here to make sure that this never happens again.
11 finally coming out of the void.
Elle. Hey, is everything okay? Did you find Will?
I can't reach him. He keeps slipping away.
Well, we have plenty of food in there, so eat, rest, and recharge your battery, and we'll try it again.
Or we improve your signal.
The tank.
Yeah, it'll take a while to set up, but you've got to recharge your battery anyway. Plus, that thing was a pain to build, so I'd like to get some use out of it.
So following this added scene, we go to the hospital where Robin and Lucas finally arrive. They run past the front desk, which prompts her to push the little button to notify whomever or the military. And before Robin can get onto the elevator to go with Lucas to sit with Max, she is stopped by Vicky, who pulls her into another room to question what the hell is going on. And when Robin plays dumb, Vicky has to remind her of the benzo she stole out of the room. And again, Vicky wants answers. We cut to Lucas in Max's room. He pulls up a chair and tells her to make her way on home and pushes the tape to play Kate Bush's Running Down the Hill. Well, running up the hill, I should say. So following this scene, we go back to Max and Holly. They've made it outside of the cave as they continue to try to find this secret passageway. Holly is convinced that there is a secret passageway. However, Max is not, because she has searched and searched and she hasn't rendered any results. Holly pulls out the telescope thingy and she realizes when she has the cap on, the shape matches up with the cave, which prompts her to want to go closer to the cave to see if the secret location is closer up. Okay, so the next few scenes are also going to stay the same, and instead of me explaining them little by little, I'm just going to let you know shot by shot what is happening. So following this scene, we are back in the Upside Down. Steve is trying to find Nancy and Jonathan without considering how unsafe it is, as Dustin is trying to stop him before he can fall to his death. Dustin does stop him. We see Nancy and Jonathan are still trying to find their way out of this melting room. They are unsuccessful with doing so. They eventually make their way on top of the table as they begin to start screaming for help. Following that scene is the scene between Joyce and Hopper talking about parenting and all that stuff. We're taking that scene out altogether. Following that, we are at Hopper's hut. 11, Mike, and Hopper are filling the tub. Again, because Joyce is gone, eventually Hopper will go into the room with Will to sit with him. 11 and Mike will have the conversation about the military wanting to restart Papa's program and her letting him know this story may not end with a happy ending, because this is not like his campaign. Following that scene, we have Holly and Max, and they finally do find the secret location. Max pulls Holly to safety after she almost falls into the spot, and then following that, Vicky and Robin are discussing everything. Vicky initially doesn't believe Robin and thinks she's lying and on drugs. Robin will heal the military outside of the room looking for her, and she tries to sneak right past them. And then we go back to the Upside Down lab where Jonathan and Nancy are yelling for help. Steve is trying to use a ladder to get across this big open spot that just fell in before Dustin stops him and pulls him to safety again. And they have their moment where he tells him, you know, he can't do this again. He can't lose anyone else after what happened with Eddie, and they finally have that beautiful moment of like reconciling and making up. And then, so like I said in my rewrite, Jonathan and Nancy are broken up, so all of that dialogue they have on top of that table with him telling her he hates her color pink and she hates when he smokes and she threw out his last of his weed, and yeah, all of that BS is going to be rewritten in my dialogue, which starts right now.
The walls are leaking a thick white liquid. The floor is beginning to soften, and the floor is falling from under them. Jonathan and Nancy find the last thing they could to take shelter from the sunken floor, a table. Jonathan's breathless, eyes darting to the door.
They're not coming, Nance. The military, the kids, nobody is coming.
Nancy, staring at the liquid metal floor as it bubbles closer.
Don't say that.
Nancy looks at Jonathan, her eyes shimmering with tears, not of fear, but of heavy regret.
I'm sorry, Jonathan.
For what? For getting stuck in a melting room? I think we can blame Henry for that one.
No. For how much I pushed you away. After everything, seeing Vecna's vision, the breakup, I was so scared. I felt like I was losing everyone I loved. I thought if I could just control everything, if I could plan every move, write every story, then I could keep everyone safe.
You were trying to be the shield, Nance. You always are.
But I used that control to keep you at a distance. I made you feel like you weren't enough because you weren't falling in line. I'm sorry I made our life feel like a job you were failing at.
Jonathan. He reaches out, taking her hand. His grip is steady.
Nancy, look at me. I'm sorry too. I went through the same thing with Will. When he was taken, my whole world became about finding him. I stopped being a person and started being a bodyguard. I think I forgot how to just be with you without it being about the trauma.
We were just two teenagers trying to carry the weight of a whole town.
Yeah. And I think we got so used to carrying it that we didn't know how to put it down, even with each other.
He pauses, looking down at their hands.
And I'm sorry I spent so much time looking over my shoulder.
You mean Steve?
Yeah. For a long time, I let my own head get the better of me. I was so insecure, Nance. I looked at him, the hair, the car, the way he just belongs in this town, and I felt like I was just waiting for the clock to run out on us. I blamed him for a lot of our distance because it was easier than admitting I was just scared I wasn't enough for you.
Jonathan,
No, let me finish. I realize now that Steve was never the problem. Seeing him step up for the kids, seeing him fight, I've actually started to like the guy. This weird, unspoken respect we've got going. It's probably the most honest friendship I've ever had. It reminds me of how we used to be, before the investigative reporting and the missions, back when we were just in the woods, and I was trying to teach you how to use that pistol.
Nancy, laughing weakly through her tears.
Which was a disaster, because I really did have better aim than you.
Jonathan, smiling.
Way better. You didn't even need the lesson.
The walls stop groaning. The bubbling liquid on the floor begins to solidify, and the melting walls stop.
It's over. The room, it's holding.
Looks like we've got a little more time to keep being honest.
Good, because we're still here, and we still have a fight to finish.
Okay, so following this dialogue switched scene, we have 11. She is using the tub and she is able to locate Will inside of Vecna's mindscape. She is able to set him free from all of the vines. As she cuts the vines free, we cut to Holly and Max as they go through this tunnel, and we see a piece of young Henry Creel in this memory before he opens the suitcase. It is here that Max realizes this is the secret way, or the secret passageway for them to escape Camazotz. So in the original episode, the screen cuts black and we hear Vecna tell Will, "You are going to help me spy one last time." I am going to switch that to him just repeating what he told Will in my dialogue switch, which is, "You are going to watch me torture everyone you love." And we hear him screaming before Will wakes up and he tells 11 Vecna is going after Max. Following that scene, we cut back to the hospital. Vicky is going back and forth with the military about Robin. Before the lights start twinkling, we see the shadow of the Demodogs, and one of them runs and attacks the military men. Robin realizes quickly that they aren't after anybody but Max. During all of this, Max and Holly are still in the mindscape trying to get through this opening. Mrs. Wheeler is trying to make her way to the door and she is very weak. Lucas, Robin, and Vicky eventually make their way to the laundry room. Vicky and Robin share a sweet moment about her still wanting to take her out on the date if they make it out of this. Robin tells Lucas to please turn the music off so the Demodogs don't hear them. However, Lucas does refuse. Eventually, the Demodogs make their way inside of the laundry room. Before they can get the kill that they want, we hear this explosion and see the oxygen tanks blow up, killing all of the Demodogs. Now, following this scene, I am going to make a slight change. Now, I was very happy that they did give Mrs. Wheeler this redemption moment. However, it just felt unrealistic if you think about all of the scratches and stitches and things that she had going on and experienced within these last few days. I don't see how she would have gotten these oxygen tanks down the steps by herself and made it to the laundry room to make this happen. So I'm just making a slight switch with this.
The smoke is thick, smelling of ozone and burnt flesh. The massive commercial dryer is a mangled hunk of blackened steel, its door blown completely off. On the floor, the remains of 3 Demodogs are scattered like charred obsidian, their limbs still twitching with dying electrical pulses. Lucas, Robin, and Vicky slowly rise from behind the heavy metal counters. They are covered in soot, their eyes wide as they look toward the doorway. Standing in the settling haze is Karen Wheeler. She is pale, leaning heavily against the doorframe, her hospital gown stained with blood from her reopened stitches, but she isn't alone. Colonel Sullivan stands beside her, his hand actually steadying her elbow to keep her upright. He is holding his service pistol, the barrel still smoking, but his eyes are fixed on the kids, not with hostility, but with a grim, newfound respect.
So one of the reasons I wanted to add Sullivan here to this scene is, number one, I needed to get him and Brenner out of the Upside Down quickly and safely without them being caught by anyone else in the military who would go back and tell Kay or be on Kay's side. So that was reason number one. And then reason number two, which I do plan on adding in my dialogue in episode 7, is Sullivan following the demo dogs to the hospital and then seeing the demo dogs open this rift to get inside of the actual hospital in Hawkins. I feel like that would be a good way for Sullivan to put 2 and 2 together, like, this is how they were able to attack us at Max Z. They are able to rip or tear in space and time in order to get from one place to another. So that was the reasoning behind me adding Sullivan to this scene. Okay. And then, of course, following this moment would be Max and Holly finally making their way into the mindscape where they can escape. I am not going to touch this 20-minute damn conversation they had before eventually they make it to their actual portals to get to their bodies. I'm going to leave it the same. So yes, that is how I'm ending the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the add-ons and the dialogue switches that I made. I'm actually really excited to finally be at episodes 7 and 8 because to me those were the 2 episodes that I feel like needs the most rearranging and rewrites done to it. So I'm very excited to get down to the nitty-gritty of those 2 episodes. Until then, I hope you guys will like, comment, and subscribe if you are liking my vibe. Until the next video, stay curious and stay out the upside down. I'll see you in the next one.